Cleon 23, Brother Dusk, ended Season 3 as Brother Darkness, but unlike every other Brother Darkness before him, he survived. He did it by destroying the genetic dynasty and sacrificing the life of his closest advisor, Lady Demerzel, which, in hindsight, probably shouldn't have surprised us. It's well known among book readers that Isaac Asimov wrote the Foundation novels while reading The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, a multi-volume nonfiction work by Edward Gibbons. The galactic empire of the Foundation novels is supposed to approximate the ancient Roman Empire during the decline and fall. However, in the Season 3 finale of the TV show, we watch a bloody purge take place in the imperial palace, and the way it's filmed seems to invoke a much earlier time in ancient Roman history, the tyrannical reigns of the emperors Caligula and Nero, who were only the third and fifth emperors chronologically. So what do Caligula and Nero have to do with Brother Darkness? Most scholars believe Caligula was literally insane, and although it's disputed by some, the evidence does show that he had incestuous relations with his sisters. Now, his favorite was Drusilla, whom he mourned at her death as a widower would. Now, how do the detractors get around that small detail? And the Emperor Nero, in some respects, might have been worse because he had incestuous relations with his mother, Agrippina. Then he killed her and gloried over her naked and mutilated corpse. Now, on the Foundation TV show, it's been emphasized over and over that Lady Demerzel, a positronic robot who's lived for 20,000 years, raised each Cleonic emperor as if they were her own children. However, in at least one instance, she had a sexual affair with a Cleon, number 17, and of course her programming was rewritten by the first Cleon, who instituted the genetic dynasty so that Demerzel would serve him as a sex slave, and after his death, raise the Cleons to be his everlasting stand-in on the imperial throne and in her life. The Brother Darkness in Season 3, Cleon 23, didn't have a sexual affair with Lady Demerzel. It seems he thought of her as his sister or mother. But given the excesses of the emperors Caligula and Nero, that's setting the bar rather low. Now, even aside from the bizarre relationship each clone had with Lady Demerzel, the Cleons didn't marry. They have a harem at the palace, which they call Gossamer Court, populated with the most enticing in the galaxy. And after each encounter, the has her memory wiped and she's sent home with a purse full of ducats. But Demerzel remains. Until recently. Now, some apologists say that Caligula was planning a dynasty similar to the Ptolemies in Egypt, with Cleopatra being the most famous, in which siblings were married to each other. Now, Cleopatra was hated among the Roman citizens, hated, and the sibling marriage was a huge part of it. Now, in my view, which I believe is the most well-grounded, Caligula wasn't sincerely motivated by an admiration for the Ptolemies. No, he was motivated by darkness. And Caligula's depravity is so horrifying to our sensibilities that literature and the arts often use him as the model for a corrupt ruler. In Game of Thrones, for example, the Lannisters, Cersei and her twin brother Jaime were incestuous lovers. Cersei sought to justify her depraved conduct by pointing to the Targaryens, who were like the Ptolemies in terms of a culture built around sibling marriage, but most Game of Thrones viewers believe that Cersei wasn't sincerely motivated by the example of the Targaryens any more than Caligula was asserted to admire the Ptolemies. Now, some scholars even believe Caligula murdered his sister and lover Drusilla in a fit of madness. The TV show I, Claudius famously depicted that horrifying murder. So, as I mentioned, we shouldn't have been surprised when Brother Darkness executed the Lady Demerzel along with the hundreds of clones who were a threat to his life and rule. Nero murdered his mother. Why? Because he feared her power. Now, Agrippina had placed Nero on the throne by murdering her husband, the Emperor Claudius, right after convincing Claudius to make her son Nero his heir. Now, let's recall that in episode 4 of season 3, Dusk was already writing Demerzel out of the history of the Galactic Empire. He told Ambassador Quint that Harry Seldon gave the Prime Radiant to Cleon 17 during the Second Seldon Crisis, but that's not precisely accurate. The AI of Harry had given the Prime Radiant to Demerzel, not Cleon 17. And as far back as episode 1 this season, Dusk declared he wouldn't run when his time came. "I don't have it in me to run," he said. And he kept his word, didn't he? He thought everybody else should run. When Harry Seldon was on trial for sedition during the reign of Cleon 13, he predicted that the Galactic Empire would fall within 500 years, and after that, 30,000 years of chaos and barbarism would follow before a new Galactic Empire would rise from the ashes to restore order and civilization. Now, psychohistory was developed to shorten that period of darkness to a mere 1,000 years, and the Foundation, both of them, first and second, were established to become that empire. So the Foundation seems to be modeled on the ancient Roman Republic, which was governed by the Senate, a ruling class of wealthy elites, all of whom were elected by Roman citizens. Now, the Second Foundation seems to be modeled on the ancient Roman Senate. The Republic fell eventually when an elite member of the ruling class, Julius Caesar, won the people's hearts through populism and silenced his enemies through an army loyal to him rather than loyal to Rome. Now, this might seem similar to what the Mule is doing, but the Roman people and its military legions loved Caesar without the mentalic control, and it was love. The people really loved Caesar. Now, he was assassinated by his political rivals, by senators, on the floor of the Senate when he was just on the cusp of reshaping Rome into an empire, which was his goal. Now, on the Foundation TV show, the Mule is revealed to be Bayta, already well known throughout the galaxy because of social media. Tauren and Bayta, newlyweds who are bringing marriage back into style, unlike those corrupt, depraved Cleons who are being cast as Egyptian Ptolemies in the social media narrative. Now, let's look at the Imperial throne room. Does that statue not look like an Egyptian sarcophagus? I posted a video recently discussing Bayta's plan to regulate family life in her empire. Watch that video for details. Now, whether Bayta's rule on the TV show will track the career of Julius Caesar is an open question. Her character calls herself the Mule, which seems unlike Caesar. Even after his assassination, his dream of empire didn't end, as history has shown us. He had adopted his grandnephew, Octavian, as heir, and Octavian did become the first emperor of ancient Rome, Augustus Caesar. The Mule in the books ends his life without an heir. We're not told precisely how his life ended, but I'm looking forward to the TV show's take on that story. And what about Brother Darkness, now Emperor Darkness, last of the Cleons and maybe first of his new name? The Consequential is the name he chose for his plinth. The nanites can keep him alive indefinitely, so his reign could last for multiple seasons of the TV show, and all because he didn't run. Which brings to mind Brother Dawn, trapped on the Mule space station. Now, he can't run. For some reason, his nanites stopped working. Some reason, maybe having to do with Cali, and he's forced to stand his ground. He is now Brother Day, Cleon 25. Let's recall it's Ascension Day on the timeline of the TV show. And there might be a new Brother Dawn as well, in the part of the galaxy to which Brother Dawn, Cleon 18, ran away with his bride, Queen Sereth of Cloud Dominion in Season 2. So all 3 Cleons could return in Season 4. The Cleons have been central to the TV show, and according to the plot lines in the Season 3 finale, they could all return. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe.